Thanks, Marcus. As Marcus, I know Holly was one of the first person I met in Dubai. I came here, 12 years ago in July. I used to be a builder before I came, and then I came over and I started being a job as a trolley dolly. I went from Bob the Builder to chicken and fish. I remember the phone call I got from Emirates. I was on the top of a two-story building doing the frame with Dad. And then I got the phone call and on the old Nokia 3310, if you still remember. And I pulled it out and you hear that, that ringtone. And I was like, and it says no number, private number. And I was like, yeah, hi. And they're going, oh, hi, it's Sandra. And I was like, who? And Sandra from Dubai. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. So I said, 1 minute. And I had all these planks on my shoulder. And I dropped them and they went down 2 floors. And I had the old man yelling at me, you little prick, get here. So then I jumped down. I said, I'll be back in a moment. Put the phone back in the tool belt, jumped down, jumped back in the ute, excuse me. And then, yes, Sandra, how can I help you? And she's like, oh, just to let you know, you got the job in Dubai. And I was like, wound down the window. I was like, stick the job up your ass, you old bastard. And then I spoke to Sandra and I remember saying, oh, thank you very much. And she's like, I guess you're happy. So next thing you know, I come to Dubai and everything like that. And I'm a mad sports fan. And I thought, what a perfect way to travel the world and see some sporting events. So my aim for the next whatever years I was over here was to go and see sporting events. And I would follow Australia in a fly going up the wall, anything. And then a mate called me, he goes, Australia's playing in Uruguay. And I said, when? And he goes, next week. And I was like, really? All right, cool, done, leave, booked. So next thing you know, we booked 5 days leave. I landed from a flight from Frankfurt, I'll never forget it. Got changed in my car, went back to the airport, went back to Frankfurt, and then went from Frankfurt back to Buenos Aires, and then Buenos Aires across to Uruguay. We landed on, I think it was the Saturday morning. The game was the next day. We didn't realise it was National Day, Uruguay. So we did the march to the stadium, and it was actually quite funny because all the Uruguayans are throwing everything at us and everything. And it was quite interesting. And you go in there and you're like 200 foreigners in this compound in a grounds where there's 60,000 other people. And it was that rough that they had concrete seats. And what they were doing, they were kicking the concrete and then throwing the concrete at us. So we had that. Yeah, it was something horrific. So then after the game, we obviously lost 1-0, which wasn't too bad. But we had to stay in the stadium for about 2.5 hours after. And it was fine, that was fine. We got to meet all the players after and some of the commentators and all that. And then we walked out of the stadium and then the police walked us to outside the stadium. And it was basically, you had a park and it was like 1 kilometre, the whole park around the stadium. And they walked us to about halfway and then they just turned around and said, good luck. And I was like, fair enough. So as we're going through and then all of a sudden, we're having a couple of beers and this, one of the girls is like, oh, he just pinched my camera. I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, that guy running with the guy chasing him. I was like, all right, cool. And I'm a bit of a runner, so I thought, I can get him. So I was like, let me finish it. Go and chase this guy, and I caught up to the guy that was chasing him. I was like, has he got the camera? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool. So I got up next to the guy and ended up getting him down, and we got the camera back, and it was quite funny. And from then on, we got lost, and police got involved and everything, and they wanted us to charge us, and it was just one of the most random things that, you could happen. You're in a foreign country and everything. And it was, you put yourself in situations, and it's, I've learned from over time that when you put yourself in situations that you can you put yourself in there, but it's, for me, I've always found it's the personality that will get you out. It's, you can be the normal Joe Bloggs or you can be the normal person, but it's, people remember the personality. And it's it was quite funny. We're chatting to the cameraman, and I still keep in contact with him from now. And he was the guy that was going through all the information. And he's like, you guys, it was all because of your personality. And it was something like that. That was one crazy event. I've been to many, you know, as he said, in India, I went to Amritsar, which is the far north of India. And it was Australia versus India. No ticket, no nothing, just rocked up to the ground, everything. We went through the whole thing and just trying to meet people and trying to everything. And it's, you know, putting yourself in situations. It was quite funny. And then I go on to something else where 3 months ago, I did the New York Marathon. It'd been a dream of mine since I was being a kid to run a marathon, and I always wanted my first marathon to be New York. And I went in the ballot for the last 3 years. I went 2000, I think 10, 11 and 12. And when you don't get in, you get, it's the fourth year, or the third year I should say, you get guaranteed entry. So I was in the ballot and I was like, perfect, 2013 I'm going to do. Then Hurricane Sandy happened. So everyone that was in that race, it got cancelled the day before, got put in the next year. So I was like, oh. So this year I got last year I got the chance to run it. I've just set up a business here in Dubai with a friend of mine, and I've been so busy that I forgot to train for it. Yeah, crazy things you do. So next thing you know, I've been so crazy with it, I didn't even book accommodation. So I jumped on the flight, got on the flight, and I thought, sweet, go to the Apple store, get on the free Wi-Fi, book a hotel. No hotel. So I rock up to New York. It's the best thing about traveling by yourself, that, you know, you'll discover something that you don't know. So I rocked up and all the seats are taken in the Apple store. So I was like, oh, Starbucks, perfect. Go and get a coffee, Trump Tower, Starbucks. Booked the thing, booked the accommodation, saw it was in Queens. And I was like, oh, I've seen that on Coming to America. That'll be pretty cool. Let's go there. Yeah. So I thought, yeah, go stay there. Yeah, very different place, I'll tell you that. It's not like the movies. So rocked up, booked the accommodation. I was so tired that when I booked the accommodation, I made the mistake on the checkout date. So morning of the marathon, the place where I was staying in Queens, we run past there. So they get your number and they have a look at your bib so they can hold a sign up for you and everything. So I rocked up to the start line, or we're going across the ferry, and I chatted to this couple, and they're going, oh, you know, have you prepared for this? And I was like, yeah, I've done a couple of runs. And they're like, how far? And I was like, 5K, 10K. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, that was a couple of months ago. I was like, yeah. They're like, oh, geez. So then next thing you know, they go, you know about the weather warning? I was like, no. So I checked my emails, and then 11:30 the night before, they sent out a gale warning, and it was 3 degrees. And I was like, oh, geez. So all I had was shorts and a singlet just to run. So the first 3 kilometres, you run across one of the bridges, and we're running on the side like this, and it's, you're holding your race number. And this couple gave me gloves, and it was the best thing that they gave me. It was just something so simple. And, you know, no training and everything like that. And I remember the 11K mark, there's a Gatorade station, a water station, then the medical. And I remember them saying something about goo juice, you know, the sugar. And I was like, oh, cool, they're handing it out. I forgot that they were handing it out after 30K. So what they were handing on the paddle pop stick was Vaseline. I'm running along, no worries. Yep, big juice of that, and I was just like, oh. And the guy next to me, he said, you just did not eat that. And I was like, why? And he's like, that was Vaseline. So for the next 2 kilometres, there's people along there, and they're basically, it's amazing. I've never experienced anything like it, like an event that's so giving. Like, there's little kids with, like, I think I nearly did my hammy a couple of times because they all put their hand out and you're just like you go to give them a high five and you're like, oh. And then after the water station, there's kids with boxes of tissues and everything. So they do that, and for the next 2Ks, and my aim was not to stop. I ended up doing the whole marathon. I did it in 4 hours and 45 minutes, but I didn't stop, and that was my goal. And I say it's the little things in life. You know, I remember a year and a half ago, I sat down with a mate of mine, and he gave me this bag at Gerard's, and he was saying that, you know, about a business and everything like that, and he's like, I'm not asking you to do everything, just small things. And for me, I didn't even think of opening a business here in Dubai. I thought I'd just go back to Australia, and it's been a headache, but it's the persistence. It's those little things. If you can, each morning, give yourself 5 to 10 tasks. If you get 3 of them done, perfect. But just one little bit at a time. You're not gonna, and it's like the marathon. I wasn't there to break records. I wasn't there to break 4 hours. I was there to just finish. So I'm just saying that, you know, and it's anything in life. You just do these little things and it'll add up. We're not here to change everything. You know, you have these great stories that these guys did, and, you know, watching the videos of the InnerTalk one, it's, you know, from everything that they were all saying, it's these little things. You try and do little things. We're not here to change the whole Dubai. We're here to add the little bit. So, yeah.